Hello, Bilal. Welcome to the show and thank you for your time. It's a pleasure to have you here.
The pleasure is all mine. Thanks for having me.
I've had the chance to read your latest article, and I must say the title is provocative, to say the least, exposing the $100 billion blind spot in the automotive stack. That's a huge number. To start, could you explain what exactly you mean by that blind spot?
Of course. The blind spot is the massive disconnect between the industry's potential and its current reality. We're in the middle of the biggest transformation the sector has seen in a century. The metric of excellence is no longer engine power, it's processing power. We're talking about the software-defined vehicle, a market that could generate over $650 billion by 2030. Yet all that potential is locked up by deep systemic fragmentation. It's a mess of legacy systems, siloed data, and apps that don't talk to each other. That chaos, that missed opportunity, is the $100 billion annual blind spot.
Fascinating. You mentioned fragmentation as the root cause. It sounds like a technical problem, but in your article, you describe it as something that affects everyone, from the driver to the dealership. Could you give us a tangible example of how this fragmentation shows up in our daily lives?
Absolutely. Let's think about the consumer. Today, buying a new car forces you to become a kind of unwilling systems integrator. So you have to download and manage an app, one from the brand to start the car, another from the dealership for service appointments, a third from your insurer, and often half a dozen more for the madness that is EV charging. It's chaos. In fact, 76% of drivers don't even subscribe to their manufacturer's connected services, which shows how little value they see in them.
App hell, I like that description. And you mentioned this doesn't just affect the user, but also the dealerships. How does it impact them?
For dealerships, it's operational chaos. They operate within walled gardens of data. Listen, their customer relationship management, CRM, and dealer management systems, DMS, are notorious for not communicating with each other, let alone with the brand systems or the customer's apps. This has real, quantifiable consequences. Nearly 60% of dealers say this lack of integration leads to transaction times of 3 hours or more. More than half of them estimate they lose 5 to 10 hours per employee every week due to these inefficiencies. It's incredibly absurd. It's a massive waste of time and money.
That's a very clear picture of the problem at the user and business level. But what's the origin? Why has such a sophisticated industry ended up here? Is it a lack of technology?
Well, it's not a lack of technology, but a lack of architecture and mindset. Look, the root of the problem lies with the manufacturers themselves, the OEMs, and their hardware-centric philosophy. For decades, they've assembled cars with components from hundreds of suppliers, and they simply applied that same model to software. Ford's CEO, Jim Farley, described it perfectly as a confederacy of vendors. A modern car can have software written by 150 different companies that don't talk to each other. This model makes a unified, evolving user experience technically and contractually impossible. It's the source code of the fragmentation problem.
This situation you're describing, it isn't new. In your article, you draw some very interesting parallels with the digital revolutions in other industries like travel and music. What lessons can we learn from them?
The lesson is fundamental. Remember what it was like to book a trip before Expedia. It was a world of high friction, with travel agents as gatekeepers, opaque pricing, and completely disconnected systems for airlines, hotels, and car rentals. The user today, juggling 10 apps for their car, is the digital equivalent of that traveler. The same thing happened with music. The industry clung to selling the physical album, a bundled product. Spotify didn't just digitize the CD, it reinvented the business model, shifting from ownership to access and aggregating everything onto a single platform. The winning platforms didn't digitize the broken process. They replaced it entirely, pushing the original suppliers into the background. That is the existential threat for car manufacturers today.
Understood. So, if the solution isn't to keep creating more siloed apps, what you call the unbundling fallacy, what's the alternative? How do you close that $100 billion gap?
The real revolution isn't in more unbundling, but in rebundling all those services onto a single unified platform, a true operating system for the automobile. To build it, we must think beyond technology and adopt a human-centric design philosophy. We call it soul, mind, and body.
Soul, mind, and body. Wow, that sounds like more than just software. Break it down for us, please.
Of course, the body is the physical vehicle, the hardware. It's the foundation. The mind is the intelligence layer, the core AI that processes all the information to create personalized, predictive outcomes. It's the value creation engine. And the soul is the user experience, the emotional connection. It's delivered through a single, elegant super app that manages the entire customer lifecycle, from purchase to service and upgrades. Look, imagine one app where your insurance is activated when you buy the car, that warns you of a potential issue and lets you book a service appointment with a single tap, or that plans your charging route on a road trip and pays automatically, regardless of the network. That's the vision.
That's a compelling vision for a unified experience. Is there any external data that supports this idea that consumers actually want this kind of bundled, unified approach?
Absolutely. And this isn't just our internal belief. A recent, very important survey from McKinsey corroborates this directly. They found that bundling disparate connectivity features into a single coherent package increases consumer purchase intent by more than 16 percentage points across all regions. It's powerful, data-backed validation for this super app thesis. Consumers don't want more apps. They want one seamless experience.
Very interesting. It's a very powerful vision. It unifies the experience, the intelligence, and the hardware in one place. So, to finish, Bilal, what is the final message you want investors and industry leaders to take away from your analysis?
The message is clear. The message is one of urgency and opportunity. The transition to a software and service-based model is inevitable. History teaches us that in these platform disruptions, the winner takes most. There won't be 10 successful operating systems. The market will consolidate around one or two. The race to build that platform is the greatest strategic imperative in the industry today. The real question isn't whether this $100 billion blind spot will be illuminated, but by whom. The opportunity isn't to fund another siloed app, but to build the foundational platform itself. The time to act is now.
Bilal Hamida, founder and visionary. This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing your vision with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.